In The Lord of the Rings, we only see the battles that are happening in the south between Kingdom of Gondor and Mordor. But did you know that Sauron was actually another war, a more vicious and brutal one up in the north? Now when Sauron started his assault against Gondor, he wasn't expecting Rohan to come in Gondor's help. This was because he knew the quote-unquote animosity between these two kingdoms, and he was aware the state of Rohan. However, he was expecting reinforcements coming up from north, from places like Erebor, Dale, and Mirkwood. Now at the end of the Third Age, kingdoms like Gondor and Rohan almost at the brink of collapse. However, the kingdoms up in north were quite powerful, especially Erebor. It was a huge powerhouse in the northern regions. So to prevent any help coming from north, Sauron started an assault larger in scale and definitely a more vicious one. The great majority of Sauron's forces in the north were created by Orcs of Gundabad and Easterlings. Now probably the number of soldiers were not higher than the ones in Mordor. However, the Orcs of Gundabad were superior to their kin. They were descendants of these monstrous orcs from the First Age. And not to mention Easterlings, right? I mean, they had a great fighting force and various different beasts and weapons that they were using. And in fact, this hit really hard the northern kingdoms. Dale was lost and men and dwarves were forced to retreat inside the mountain. But right before the gates were breached, the news of Sauron lost the war came, and this created a great chaos and panic among the forces, so they just scattered away. However, in this battle, the great King Dain Ironfoot lost his life. Rest in peace, King. And many of you guys know these events as the War in the North.